I'm Coop's mom, and this is the Coop's Advice podcast.
Treva and I met under the worst of circumstances, and this is the first time we're meeting, but I totally feel like I know you already.
That's what I was telling Harold this morning on the way here. I'm like, I feel like I know Brady. He's
Yeah.
like, what are you going to say? I'm like, I don't know, but we know each other.
It's
And
just
that's gonna
like
make
I was thinking on the way here, I completely think that our boys orchestrated this.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, what are the chances that I would be in LA, you're in LA at the same time and just get it together to meet? I mean,
know.
it just doesn't make sense. And then as I'm going here, I pass like a Jack in the Box. I see this like big Jack. I'm like, it's a sign.
I love that. I love little signs.
I know.
Parker was telling us the other day, well, night before last, she and her boyfriend were watching TV on the computer, or a show on the computer, and she said that nothing, they were watching a movie, and in the right corner, Siri came up, and just a little sign that said, he's here. And she's like, what? Nothing, they didn't ask for Siri or anything. It just, there's a little sign. He's here.
I mean, for me,
crazy?
that keeps me going.
I know. I love that
like,
so
I have
much.
to believe that Jack is still here, because if I didn't, I don't think I could survive.
I love little signs, don't you?
Yeah.
Like your little Jack in the Box.
It's like my Jack in the Box. I mean, like,
love that.
So wait, the best text was when you text me. You said, "Am I crazy?" I was yelling and screaming at, I forget what you wrote. You text me saying, I was yelling and screaming or something. You're like, I feel crazy. I'm like, no, crazy is talking to yellow butterflies and thinking they're your son.
Oh, I love that. I mean, why not?
I'm like, I'm a lunatic if you're calling that crazy.
We're two moms. We both have lost our precious boys. I'm 2 years into it, and you are four.
Literally, July 3rd was 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the date, as you know, hanging over me like I wanted to hit and like fast forward and pretend it didn't exist.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, I wish we could do that.
I
wish
know.
we could. But I feel like that we have this amazing opportunity as moms to help other grieving moms and help keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
I really want to educate parents. I feel like there's still so many people that are like, I don't really know what fentanyl is. I don't know, my child's doing great. They're nothing can happen, but it's happening. It's 100,000 people a year. I mean,
I didn't, since Jack passed 4 years ago, the landscape of the conversation has changed so much that 4 years ago, when we got the results of how he passed, I had heard of fentanyl, but I wasn't as knowledgeable, obviously, about it as we are today. So it wasn't like when Jack left the house, it was something that I would like ingrain upon him, like, don't take anything illicit. It was just like an obvious don't do drugs type of thing.
right.
And I had no idea. And now, I look at statistics, and it's 7 out of 10 pills that are seized by the DEA contain enough fentanyl that someone else's child might not wake up. And, I say, like, if you have a 70% chance of not waking up, why would you possibly make that decision? And, we both have daughters. And I can't tell her to be careful enough, although I said the same thing to Jack, and it scares the shit out of me.
Me too. I have our daughter, and I worry.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, and I'm texting her all the time. Well, don't do this, don't do that, don't.
I know.
And even you get the things on Instagram to be safe getting in your car, or somebody throwing something at the windshield and you have to pull over. Don't use windshield. I mean, I send her everything. Like, I'm so nervous.
I know. I said same thing. And my daughter wrote back, do you want me to just like not go out? I said, sometimes.
That'd be good.
Sometimes we could like just put you in a padded
And how
room.
old is she?
That would be great. She'll be 21 in a couple of weeks. And It's really hard for me because Jack never made it to 21. He was just shy of his 20th birthday. So he was 19, same age, and it's hard to watch my daughter surpass that age. And I was thinking, you know, at 19 he was going to be a sophomore. He went to University of Denver, and I felt like he was older or old at that time. And now when I look at my daughter, I'm like, he was such a friggin' baby at 19. And, you know, I know Coop struggled with mental health, as did my son. And Jack wanted to create awareness the same way Coop did. I feel like there's so many similarities between the two of them that they're definitely hanging above for sure.
Bringing us together in more ways than one.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I know for me, Jack struggled with anxiety and depression, and, you know, he had been to therapy, a few different therapists. He was anti-medication.
Same as Cooper.
And felt that he could manage it on his own. And I wouldn't say that was his ultimate demise. I think the two of them were poisoned.
Oh, they were definitely
You
poisoned.
know?
They were definitely murdered. Let me just call it what it is.
Yeah. And, you know, I think I worry because I don't want kids to see our children as two kids that suffered and have that be their demise, because it's important for me for kids to understand that, you know, you can live with anxiety, you can live with depression, and you can still have a very fulfilling life. It doesn't mean it's going to end up the same way, you know, our boy's life ended, and I think that's really important. And it's something that, like, I try and remind everyone as, you know, the fact that we lost our boys the same day, is the same way, is sort of something separate than what they stood for. You know, like, don't you want Coop to remember how, like, he lived his life, not how he left this world.
Right. Yeah. And Cooper loved, I say this all the time, but he loved everyone, and he really just wanted people to be happy.
Yeah.
He worried so much about, he loved his fans. He loved his friends. And I mean, he just, so much love.
Yeah.
And I was I don't think people gave him the credit he deserved. He was so very smart, like Jack, way before their time.
Yes. Like old souls.
Yeah.
Right?
Very old souls. And for him, you know, Cooper creating the platform, Coop's Advice, was 4 or 5 days before he passed.
Nuts.
Because he wanted to help kids with mental health. And it's so funny, I wanted to go on Cooper's Instagram to see if he and Jack followed each other. Have you done that? I wonder.
No,
I have not done that. But wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah, Jack wasn't on, I know he wasn't on TikTok. He had, like, just started it.
But Instagram.
But Instagram he was on.
Yeah.
And the same way that Coop started Coop's Advice, Jack had just started his brand called Happy Jack, literally a month.
Which I love so much.
A month before he passed. And he started it in his fraternity house at Denver University. And he's like, Mom, I know what I want to do now. I want to take my art and put it on clothes and help raise funds for kids who are struggling. And he started selling it at different colleges, and it just went from there.
Amazing.
And he launched it on June 7th, and I friggin' lost him on July 3rd.
Makes me so sad. We lost Coop June 9th, and on June 28th is his birthday. So June is a very tough month for me, and my husband's, Harold's, birthday's June 10th. So we're trying to figure out how to celebrate Cooper's heavenly birthday with Harold's birthday, and I just don't want it to be sad all the time on Harold's birthday.
I know.
And I feel like Cooper wouldn't want that either.
Don't you find people say that, like, Jack wouldn't want you to be sad? I'm like, well, tough shit, I'm sad.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
I can say that.
I'm like, I'm sad. And
I hate it when people say, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, don't be sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I hold that. I want to hold all that sorrow for me. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. I know that sounds kind of silly, or, you know, and I
No.
don't like, are you okay? No.
No.
I'm fucking not okay.
I know.
I'll never be okay.
I am.
But I'm doing the best I can.
You know, I think something that we should probably say out loud, which we haven't, but we've said in jest to one another, is that there are some days where you and I
Oh,
want to check out.
yeah.
And then I remind you and you remind me that we have daughters and we have people that love us, and that, you know, our sons were put on this earth for great purpose. And, you know, people say like, oh, you're so strong, which is similar, I'm sure they say to you. And it's like, I don't have a choice.
Right.
I don't have a choice. You know, I have to wake up in the morning. I have a daughter, and I have amazing parents and an amazing partner, and I have you.
I have you too. What a great blessing, because we met so crazy. Like we were in Italy, and somehow Happy Jack, I was having a conversation with someone, and Happy Jack came up, and I said, oh my gosh, our son also passed away the same way. And I immediately got on Instagram, and I think I posted something to you, and you commented back immediately, and I said, oh my gosh, Harold, someone commented back on from Happy Jack, and then that started our conversation. And
I mean, what are the chances that two families would meet in such an obscure way?
Right. It was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah. And now we've met, unfortunately, too many of us. I mean, every time I post on TikTok and every time you guys post, you read through the comments, and it's literally, you'll be sick to your stomach reading them. You know, my nephew, my uncle, my father, my son, my best friend. And I feel like it's getting to the point where you're always going to meet someone who knows someone who passed this way. And I don't know how to fix it.
I don't know how to fix it either, but all we have to do is just keep this conversation going and just educate. And I mean, I don't know. It just, I mean, every day, I mean, it's hard to wake up. It's hard to wake up in the morning. It's hard to look at videos and pictures, and because for a minute, sometimes I forget. And I want to pretend that he's here. He's just somewhere in LA.
Yeah.
Hanging out with everybody. And
You know,
then I have to just wake up and start moving.
You know, someone had said to me once, if you knew Jack was on like this deserted island and you could write to him as much as you want, and you knew he was doing great, you knew he was happy, how would you feel? And I said, I suppose as long as I knew he was happy, I would be okay with it. And he said, well, then there you have it. But in theory, it sounded good, but now I'm like, no, I'm not okay with it.
Sounds good, but I kind of want him here. I want to hug him.
And our boys will always be 19, and I don't know about Cooper, but Jack wanted to be a father one day. He wanted a family, and to never be able to watch that develop, and I'm sad for our girls.
Me too. I was just thinking about that. Like, well, I'll never get to see him get married. So I'm pressuring Parker to have a baby boy and name him Cooper. Well, there she has no choice.
I know. My daughter got a dog and named it Denver, which is where Jack went to school. So
that's cute.
Right now that's as close as we got. But
well, she's 21 too.
She's 21. No, she better not dare have a baby yet.
No,
I'll wait on the Jack. But they didn't ask for this. Our daughters, and she didn't like. She felt like there was like a stigma attached to her, or like a scarlet letter. She's like, I don't want to be the sister of someone who died. I don't want to be that person. And she's like, I just want to be me. She's like, I don't want to be Happy Jack's sister. And I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And she has such a big personality. And we've never pushed her into Happy Jack any more than she's wanted to be a part of it. And I think that's something really important, is that, you know, this is how we choose to grieve and how we choose to help others, but it doesn't necessarily mean that this is what our daughters want.
Right. Yeah, we've not pushed Parker to do anything, and then she does things on her own, and when she does, and you know, I love it so much.
Yeah. But does she, you know, like, I always push my daughter to go to therapy, and I know it's obviously not a fix, and she was very reluctant, and it's obviously because when you go to a therapist, it's like admitting that something actually happened, and it's easier not to talk about.
I love my therapist.
See, I stopped going because I couldn't listen to myself anymore.
I don't go as much as I used to, but I go maybe once a month, or she'll check in, and I'm like, okay, I'll come in, and yeah.
I know.
I feel the same way. It's like I feel like I'm repetitive. It's like I don't want to keep talking about.
I know, and I'm
so
tired
I feel
of
like
crying.
I find stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And she knows, and
But do you ever feel? And I know this is crazy, but if you look at them and, you know, they're like, how can I help you? It's sort of, there's so much a part of me that wants to say, like, unless you could bring my son back, there's really nothing you can do.
Right.
And I get angry.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to talk anymore.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, as a mom, we try and fix things. We are problem solvers. And the finality in death is so incredibly painful. And
So painful.
we can't fix it this time.
No.
There's absolutely nothing that we can do other than just sit with it. And it's the most painful.
It's so painful just to sit with it and to know that here on this earth we'll never touch our boys.
Right.
But I do believe that I'll see him again.
Oh, definitely. I do too. Definitely, definitely, definitely.
And I also think that he's in paradise with Jack.
Oh my God. Probably smoking.
That is the weirdest thing you said that. So I was standing in Parker's room last night, and I'm like, I smell cigarettes. And I'm like, Parker, are you smoking cigarettes? She's like, no. And that is so weird.
Jack smokes weed, not cigarettes. But anytime I smell it, I'm like, he wasn't here when it was made legal. I'm like, if only. If only. But anytime I do, I'm like, Jack? Is that you? I know. That's the craziness.
Yeah, it was weird smelling a cigarette. Like, and then it just like dissipated. So I
Yeah.
get little things like that. I'm like, hey.
But it's, I mean, I give you a lot of credit. You still live in the same home.
Oh, we think about it. I think about it. But then I'm not ready. Like, I just still love to go crawl up on his bed and cry, and I'll go sit I'll literally go stand in his closet and close the door and just smell all his clothes, and
It's torture.
it's torture.
I don't think I could.
I don't know.
It's amazing how different everyone grieves and how different everyone processes something. But when I go back to the town that I raised my children, I go past the high school and I think of all the lacrosse games, all the soccer games. You know, every store has a story. And it's too painful for me.
It's so painful. I know I was just driving by where Cooper used to play baseball yesterday, and I was like just looking at the little field that he, you know, we used to love to watch him play, and it was just, yeah, I want him back.
I know. I know.
It sounds so silly, but you know,
I don't think
I want
so.
him back.
I don't think so.
Did I text you after I threw a fit?
That's what I'm saying. That's when you text me. You said, am I crazy? I said,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
talking to butterflies. Who's crazy now? And I don't.
Oh, when I was throwing things off the shelves.
Yeah. Like, I think we get a pass. I think we get a pass to be crazy.
I think it was the first time I got angry with him, too. Like, really angry. Just
Yeah.
started throwing things pictures, everything, like on the ground, and then just on the floor, everything, just like,
But like in
I'm
your
mad at you. Why?
Yeah.
Why would you take that? Why?
Yeah, I say the same thing.
Why did you trust this non-human person?
Yeah, I say the same thing. I'm so mad at you, and it's kind of like the "I told you so."
Yeah. And I had just found out about fentanyl like 2 weeks before, and I was talking to him. I'm like, I'm so scared. I'm scared about this fentanyl. He's like, Mom, don't worry, because he was struggling. He was struggling for a few weeks. He was fine, and then
Struggling with anxiety or depression or both.
I think both, and with opioids, and then he. I know it sounds kind of silly, but sometimes I think you still at all ages still need to know who your kids' friends are. I know it sounds so silly.
No, it doesn't, because the party that my son went to, I didn't know these boys.
What would you want grieving parents like us to think of, to do or to know, or what do you think that would help?
I wouldn't say that time necessarily makes it easier. I would say that time makes it a little bit less heavy, if that makes sense.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
I think that we need to be kind to ourselves and not judgmental. I personally didn't leave my house or my bed for 6 months. It took me 2 years to get to the cemetery. It took me 2 years to say how Jack passed. I mean, it's such a journey, and it's a long journey. And I'm 2 years ahead of you, and in 2 years you might be saying something very different. But it takes a long time, and I'm not as angry as I used to be, but I'm more sad that I have to scroll further back on my phone to see his pictures and to watch his videos, and I cannot wrap my head around the fact that it's been 4 years. I cannot. But back to your question, I would say, sleep if you need to sleep.
Sleep if you need to sleep. I love that.
I sleep a lot. And instead of feeling guilty about it, I'm fine, because it quiets my mind and it gives my head a rest, and I'm very good at it.
Harold wouldn't let me sleep. I think I could have stayed in bed, but he wouldn't feed the dogs, like after Cooper. Like, he would not feed the dogs. Like, he made me get up and feed them. So I'd get up and feed the dogs. And then I would make myself coffee.
But it's amazing how strong he was to give you strength, be able to give you that strength.
When he was falling apart, too.
Correct.
Yeah. And I actually have, in his writing, "You were so strong," Cooper wrote.
Oh, I love that.
In his writing, yeah.
My daughter has, on the back of her neck, he had written her a note that said, "I love you forever."
Oh.
And she has that on the back of her neck. In his handwriting also. And, I would also just go back when I listen to my friends whose children are still with us, and they get upset about minutia and little things. And, I said, if Jack's life could teach you anything, and my experience can teach you anything, it's like, let's not get upset about the little things in life, and put everything into perspective. And, to get upset if your kid gets a tattoo, to get upset if your kid doesn't want to go to college, to get upset. I mean, I would give anything to be upset about those things again, and it just puts everything into perspective.
I think I regret, on the tattoos, we were like, "No, Cooper, you can't get any face tattoos or any neck tattoos." Now I wish I would have let him have the neck tattoos, because he would get those fake ones.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, he's getting a neck tattoo. I wish I would have just,
Yeah.
And then after he passed, I have his name in his writing on my neck.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm getting a neck tattoo.
So Jack's last tattoo was not long before he passed, and it was 2 circles. One had a happy face and one had a frowning face. And then in the center, he colored it in gray, or the tattoo artist colored it in gray. And he sent me a picture of his leg. And he thought I was going to get pissed at him, which I didn't at the time. I was like over it. It was his 3rd tattoo already. And I said, why did you color the middle in gray? Like, why did you fill that part in? And he said, because that's a space that I live in.
Oh.
He said, I sometimes don't feel happy. I don't feel sad. And I feel like I live in that gray space. And it's that undescribable feeling that, you know, when we as parents say, like, tell me how you're feeling, tell me it's, how would Jack better describe it to say than I feel like I'm living in the gray?
That's amazing. I
And
wonder
what-
if Cooper felt that
And
same
what
way.
does that mean exactly? And how could we help exactly? And, you know, maybe I was naive. I always thought Jack would grow out of it. I thought he'd grow out of some of his pain and some of his anxiety or some of his depression. And unfortunately, it worked the other way. He got worse as he got older.
I think that's what, I'm glad you brought that up, because I do think that I hear that a lot, like parents, you know, when kids will say, my mom and dad or my parents, they think that they tell me I'll grow out of it. I think we have to really listen.
Yeah.
Really listen. And I am sad that, you know, Cooper, he was in LA, I think, when he was 17, moved there. He moved there with his sister, and they lived there for, you know, together for 6 months. And
Was
then
he in school at the time?
It was right after COVID. It was during COVID.
Oh.
So I think he was doing school
Yeah.
online,
Yeah.
and then and so I feel like, you know, he was away from us for so long, 17, but he would come, you know,
Yeah.
home a lot, and I wonder sometimes if I feel like I didn't ask the right questions.
I say the same thing. Why didn't I listen more?
Yeah.
I remember so specifically Jack. I don't remember how old he was, but I remember him sitting on my kitchen counter. I even remember what he was wearing, like Timberlands and a plaid button down. And he looked at me and he said, I'm not happy. Now, from an outsider looking in, you're like, what could this child
Right.
He had loving parents, loving sister. He really did not have that much that I would think that he would want for that he didn't already have. And I blew it off. You know, I was like, okay, what does he like not have the latest app or the latest? It was just like I was looking for like the solution or something material. And had I really listened, had I really understood that it is possible to have everything in life and still be unhappy.
Oh, yeah.
And we can't go backwards, and I know I always torture myself, and I'm sure you do too. I wish at that moment I believed him or I understood him, and I wish that I had started therapy earlier. I wish that I had suggested perhaps medication earlier. I wish that I had just maybe gotten a handle on it earlier. You know, what things have been different.
I feel like Cooper was going to therapy.
When did he start?
Gosh, probably, well, he was off and on. You know, he went to Wilderness right at 15. We sent him away at 15.
But when did you first notice that perhaps he was struggling with whatever?
With around 14 and a half.
14.
Yeah. And then sent him to Wilderness. And he learned a lot of really good tools. And when he came out, he was good. He had some setbacks. But the last one, it was like this perfect storm.
Yeah.
Like he met the wrong people.
Yeah.
Started hanging with the wrong people.
Uh-huh.
And he and Sab moved out from each other. His best friends were on tour. Things weren't like going, you know, it was like this perfect storm had happened. And I think he just got deeper into sadness and depression, and sought out for something strong, and met his fate in a parking lot, in a parking garage at Burbank Mall. And
when did you speak to him?
That day.
The timeline. Like, I always go through the timeline.
That day.
Yeah, that day you spoke to him.
Like 2.5 hours before he called me. He was so happy. He's like, Mom, I'm doing good. I haven't done anything for 4 days. So he hadn't, was doing Xanax and weed and drinking for 4 weeks. And then he said, I haven't been doing anything for 4 days. I'm on my way to a Bible study in Burbank. I just want to let you know, I really, I'm getting hydration therapy, and I'm doing well. And we were laughing. It wasn't like somber or anything. It was, we were really laughing, and I'm so happy, and and I can't wait to see you. And he said, okay, Mom, I gotta go. And the last things he said to me is, I love you and I love the Lord. 2.5 hours. And Harold and I spoke at the church where Cooper went, little church by the sea in Laguna. And it was about a month ago, and maybe a little over a month. But when we were talking to the kids, one of the young ladies asked me such an amazing question. She said, that day, did you feel like something wasn't right? Something was off? And I said, yes. Not the whole day, but in that moment. If I go back in that moment, we were supposed to go somewhere. I didn't want to go. Harold's like, I think we should go. I'm like, I don't want to go. I don't feel like it. But I went anyway. And it was during that time when we got phone calls. My baby wasn't here. So, anyway.
PTSD is real.
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
And the crappy part is they wouldn't let me go see him. It was a Thursday. The coroner's office wouldn't let me go to LA. They wouldn't let me go see him. I didn't get to see my baby.
I didn't see Jack either. Aw, sweetie.
But
Just gonna give you mine.
But I just feel like, as parents, as grieving moms, we just have to keep this conversation going. And just, like you said earlier, we all grieve different.
Yeah.
All of us. Harold had me get out of bed to feed the dogs, and I think in some ways it kind of saved me in the mornings to get up and move. And then you stayed in bed for 6 months, and that's okay too.
But I didn't see Jack. I wasn't involved in anything afterwards. I mean, Jack's dad, David, did whatever needed to be done. I can't even tell you what needed to be done because I would have had no idea. Mm-hmm. I showed up for the service, and I could barely stand at the cemetery, and then I didn't go back to the cemetery for 2 years. So I just felt like a walking zombie, like I was alive but not alive, like you're not in your body type of experience.
Yeah.
And I still feel that way sometimes.
I do too.
Like, how is this my life? How is this my life?
I ask that all the time.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. What did I do? What did I do to deserve this? I mean, how is this my life?
I don't know. And then sometimes I'm like, well, how did I not know? Like, how did I not know this was Jack's story? How did I not know that this was his book? Like, again, back to what the fuck?
Yeah. What the fuck? I think that one thing, or a couple of things, I think we're so lucky that we, as grieving moms, we have a purpose. They gave us purpose.
Yes.
We're fortunate. And for everything that I know that I do, is for every parent that suffers the way we are and have. And every time I cry, it's not just for my own self. I think about the mom and the dad in that moment that they find out.
Yeah.
I cry. I feel like I cry for everyone. And this fight I'm fighting is going to be for everyone. And we have a purpose. Our boys gave us a voice that we can help other people, other kids. And our hope is always to give kids the opportunity to make better choices.
Yeah.
If somebody hands you a drug, make a better choice. I'm going to go out for a run. I'm going to go get some fresh air. I'm going to go lift weights. I'm going to go do something positive. I mean, it's a choice. Cooper had a choice.
As did my son.
And
you know,
here we are.
As much as like we say, you know, it was murder, it was poison, they still made that choice that day.
Yep.
And that part makes me angry.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It makes me angry that they trusted someone.
Yeah. Well, Jack was a big believer in nothing was ever going to happen to him.
Mm-hmm.
He would say all the time to me, Ma, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. And worrying for me was a full-time job. I had a kid who was fearless and scared the shit out of me. And, you know, you have some moms now that I've put myself out there on, you know, on TikTok who are very judgmental.
I'm very proud of you, by the way.
Very judgmental. You know what, Treva?
Yeah. Fuck them.
I speak
Sorry.
because I feel like if my son taught me anything, it was to be transparent and not give a fuck what anyone thinks. And I've already lost a child. I was like, what do I have to lose?
Exactly.
What do I have
feel
to
the same
lose?
way.
You want to critique me on Facebook and on TikTok and say I was a shitty mom, or I should have taught my kid better. Like, I taught my son the same way you did.
But I love to ask that. Yeah, of course. And for those people who are so judgmental, don't you want to say, are you having like a drink right now? Or are you having like a couple of cocktails? Or,
Yeah.
Or how old are you? Did you do drugs when you were young? Statistically, I bet that there's probably 95% of the people that are drinking, have done drugs, are still drinking, doing drugs, whatever.
Well, the best
Adults.
is like, not my kid.
Yeah.
Not my kid. I taught them not to do drugs.
Yeah.
And my response is like, do you really think Jack got up in the morning? And I was like, honey, wait, but come on. I taught him the same way. I have 2 children. You know, one child makes different decisions than the other.
Exactly.
And that's just the reality of having kids. And, you know, we do the best we can. And, you know, one of my friends likened what happened to Jack as, you know, almost being hit by a bus.
Right.
She's like, I don't know what you could have done to change that night.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, Jack went to a party, and his last text to me was, I'm going to sleep over, not safe to drive. I love you more than life. And that was right before midnight. So I'm like, what the fuck happened between 11:52 and the phone call that I got on Sunday morning? What happened? He had no alcohol in his system. Like, I didn't.
Same. Like what happened from 1:30 p.m.
Like,
to
yeah.
4:56.
And I'm like, where was someone? Where was everyone?
Yeah. And Cooper had Narcan on him, but he can't save himself.
No, I don't even know that 4 years ago Jack even knew what Narcan was. But as you said
People
earlier,
know now.
People know now.
Mm-hmm.
People know about fentanyl now. People know about the epidemic. And I don't know, maybe our boys had to pass to save other lives.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that was their purpose. Maybe Coop's advice and, Happy Jack World and what they left us. Because I think a lot of grieving moms, start these foundations in honor of their children.
Of course.
I did not start Happy Jack in honor of him. He started it. And the same thing with
Coop.
you.
Yeah.
So I think that's very, very, very different is, Jack left a platform behind that, was all about like living free and proud and being non-judgmental and, it's okay not to be okay. And I try and continue that verbiage, when I speak. And, it's not realistic to be happy all of the time. It's just not.
Right.
And I even remind myself of that, and I have some days where I'm better than others. And even in the beginning, it was like, I couldn't even tell myself I was happy. It like felt so wrong to even say, like, someone's like, are you so happy you're living, in the warmth and at the beach? I'm like, no, grief travels. It doesn't care whether I'm in the sun or like in the rain. I'm still lost my son at the end of the day, but it's an evolution, I suppose, a process. And it led me to you.
I know. Our boys led us to each other.
Yes, 100%.
They were so much alike. It's kind of amazing.
100%.
I'm kind of proud of them.
He was into art, yes, Cooper?
Not like Jack.
Not the painting way, but like musically.
Well, he has like three of his best friends that are on the recording artist. And but he just, I don't know, he was very artistic in other ways.
Yeah, but they were both steadfast in their mission. And maybe they weren't supposed to meet in this life. Maybe they were supposed to meet in another life. And I often think, like, you know how crowded it must be up in heaven?
I know.
It must be so crowded up there. And it seems like more boys than girls, more male than female, when I read all of the comments about those who have passed to fentanyl. And I
think God's got a huge army.
Yeah.
He's coming for us.
Well, if anything, I'm grateful to have met you. I'm grateful to Harold. I'm grateful to David for being in Italy that day.
Well, I didn't meet him.
You didn't meet David?
No.
Oh, you met his sister-in-law. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Which is even weirder.
Yeah. But, yeah, super amazing. It was just a wonderful conversation that led me to you.
And you can't even explain it.
You can't explain it.
It makes no sense. And that keeps happening in my life. Things like just don't make sense. So I don't believe in coincidences anymore.
No.
No. But thank you for having me here.
I love it.
I love you dearly.
I love it. Thank you, Brady, for being here. I love you so much.
Never thank me.
You're the one I really text when I'm crazy. You're the only one I feel safe with.
You can text me anytime.
You can text Ethan. But you're the one I text when I'm crazy. Like, I'm insane right now, and when I hate the world, when I hate life, and I don't want to be here anymore. And you have to walk me out of it sometimes, and I love that. Thank you.
I know sometimes I'll get a text, and I'll write the same thing back. You're like, I hate everyone. I'm like, I hate everyone.
And then we laugh.
But you have to.
Yeah. And
you have to. I mean, at some point.
Don't you just, I miss me. I miss the old me.
Definitely.
God, sometimes I'm like, I miss me. I want me back.
I
want me back so bad, and I just have to know that this is the new me. This is a different version of me, and I just have to learn to like her.
I like her.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And for more information, please follow us at the Coops Advice Foundation.org. Thank you.